Hi everyone! Today we're going to talk a little bit about some geography. Remember, when we talk about geography, that means that we're talking about the Earth and how the Earth looks. So here on my screen, I see a giant picture of the Earth. My giant picture of the Earth has a North Pole and a South Pole. I know that we are all very familiar with the North Pole and the South Pole. We know all about the North and South Poles. The North Pole is a little dot on the top of my Earth, at the top of my Earth, and the South Pole is a dot all the way on the bottom of the Earth. We have North and South. When we divide the Earth into North and South, let's put an imaginary line. Let's put an imaginary line on our Earth, and now we have our Earth divided into North and South. So everything on the top of the line is the North, and everything on the bottom of the line is the South. This imaginary line is called an equator. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But for now, we're going to talk more about the North and the South. Whenever we divide the Earth into North and South, those are called hemispheres. So all of this at the top over here, this is the North, the northern hemisphere at the top, and everything at the bottom of the line is called the South, the southern hemisphere. So I'm just going to label these right here. This is the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. And we can remember that because we have an N for north and a S for south. We have the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So the hemisphere is all of this space, all at the top of this imaginary line. So all of the space on the top of the imaginary line is the northern hemisphere, and the bottom of the imaginary line is the southern hemisphere. We can also add some more dots to our Earth. Let me show you. So I'm going to add, we already had a dot on the north and the south. Let's add two more dots. We added two more dots, one on this side of the line and one on this side of the line. When we add those dots on the sides of the line, now we have north and south, but we also have west and east. And that's how we can tell what side of the Earth is north, south, west, and east. I have a very easy way to remember this. If you're ever confused about which side is north, which side is south, which side is west, and which side is east, I have a very easy way to remember. Ready? It's never eat soggy waffles. Never eat soggy waffles. If you're ever confused, remember never. Eat, soggy, waffles. Never eat soggy waffles. North, east, south, and west. So remember, all of this space, all at the top here, all of this is the northern hemisphere. N is for northern hemisphere. And all of this space here at the bottom, it's the southern hemisphere. S is for southern. N is for northern. Northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere. And again, this imaginary line is called the equator, but it also shows us where the west is and where the east is. So we have north, east, south, and west. Never eat soggy waffles. As we talk a little bit more during the week, we're going to keep talking more during the week about where things are in the Earth, but this is how we divide the Earth whenever we're talking about hemispheres and directions. We have north, east, south, and west. we have the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So if you live in the United States, this is the United States over here. This green land over here, this is the United States, and this is Canada. If you live in the United States, you live in the northern hemisphere. Let's take a look at where we are. Oops. We are in Chicago right now, and Chicago is somewhere around here-ish, around this dot. This is somewhere around Chicago. So since we are in Chicago, that means that we live in the northern hemisphere. If you've ever been to South America, then you are in the southern hemisphere. So if you've ever been to Brazil, or if you've ever been to Argentina, all of those are in the southern hemisphere because they are on the southern part of the earth. So remember, the 4 sides of the earth are the north, east, south, west. Never eat soggy waffles. And then we have the line that divides the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere.